The time has come to share my middle of the year makeup inventory, and it's not pretty, you guys. It is not pretty. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my mid-year makeup inventory, where I embarrassingly share all of my makeup inventory numbers throughout each category. So I've been doing this for about a year and a half now, and it keeps getting worse, you guys. Keeps getting worse. Last year I did a low buy, and it was like okay last year, but I think since restrictions were lifted on my makeup spending, it's really gotten out of control. I've brought 25 blushes into my collection this year alone. Anyway, today we're going to be getting into all of it. This video is coming just a little bit late. I'm not sure if I was just too lazy to actually go through my collection and count everything, or if I knew how bad it was and was putting off this video. But we're going to be getting into it today, so if you're interested in seeing my makeup inventory for each category, stay tuned. First, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you consider subscribing before you leave today. I do post a minimum of 4 times a week, so if that's something that interests you, don't forget to subscribe before moving on. And other than that, let's just get into it. Drink some caffeine. Today I am drinking the Alani Nu Arctic White in the old packaging. They have recently rebranded, and I really like the new aesthetic. Have you guys tried the Alani Nu energy drinks, and what are your thoughts? There are some hits, there are some misses for me. Some of the like sour peach rings I just can't do. There's like a Hawaiian shaved ice that just reminds me of like maybe my like senior year spring break. Ooh, that was a rough one. Rough flavor. Well, rough flavor, rough nights. Can you tell I'm trying to put off this inventory? All right, guys, I have my little post-it notes. I have all of my info from where we were in January, where we were at my 3-month check-in, and where we are now. I will try and scoot over and post pictures over here of like my collection, so it isn't as visibly boring to just like look at me and hear me spew out numbers and be like, ah, you lost me. But why don't we just start? Perhaps I'll put a little extra lip gloss on first, so you're distracted by like my shiny lips and aren't necessarily listening to how horrifying my makeup inventory is. I say this, but at the same time, I also like plan to just probably keep buying. I do kind of want to do a no buy in specific categories, but at the end of the day, I really love makeup and I don't want to stop buying it. So let's get into the numbers, starting with my primer category. At the beginning of the year, I started with 15 primers at my 3-month check-in. So in like March, I was at 20 primers. I do love primer. I don't even know if I like necessarily believe in primer, but have you guys ever had it where you go and put your foundation on and you forgot to put your primer on, and it's so horrifying? There's something about putting primer on my face that I love. And I am currently at 19 primers. So I have finished up 2 primers. This is a category that I am considering putting myself on like a 1 in, 1 out. I did use up 15 primers last year. Some of those were like deluxe size. They weren't obviously all full size primers. And I do have quite a few primers I feel like I'm pretty close to finishing up throughout various projects. I'm considering doing a 1 in, 1 out with this because I just cannot let this primer category go any higher than this. I can't do it. So we're at 19 primers. My realistic goal for the primer category would be like 15 I would be comfortable with, because I like primer, like I said, and I use it every single day pretty much. Even on days where I'm not wearing makeup, sometimes I still put a primer on. So I'm comfortable with it being at about 15. This is a category where I've learned that unless it's a favorite primer or if it's like a new primer I'm trying, I do want to purchase like the deluxe size or the mini size if they offer it, just because, again, my primer collection is very large. So we're at 19 primers. We did go down by 1 in a category, you guys. Yes! Excited. Foundation. It gets a little hairy here. So I ended 2019 with 17 foundations, which I was pretty happy with, because there was a point in 2019 where I think I had like 27 or 28 foundations. Oh, we found ourselves there again, ladies and gentlemen. At my 3-month check-in, I was at 24 foundations and we're up to 27. I've been having a lot of fun testing out a lot of new foundations. And foundation is another makeup product or category that I just enjoy trying new why do I keep wanting to say primers? New foundations. I do plan to rank all of the foundations that I've tried thus far this year in a video coming up. I'm just trying to do my makeup once with each foundation to take a picture of it for this video. I've obviously worn each of the foundations more than one time to review it in this video, but I'm trying to collect all that, and that video will be coming. For the concealer category, I started the year with 14 concealers. At the 3-month mark, I had not used up any concealers, nor had I decluttered. So I was at 14 still, and now I am at 10 concealers. I think I decluttered 2 concealers, and then I have also recently finished up 2 concealers, which is really, really exciting. I did recently post a makeup empties video where I talked to you guys about 18 makeup products that I have recently finished up. So if you're interested in that video, it will be linked in the description box down below. I used up 7 concealers last year. Now, a couple of those concealers were concealers that don't necessarily come with a lot of product. I'm thinking like the Ulta concealer, the NYX concealer, and there's another one that I used up last year that doesn't have a lot. I can't remember. There was like 3 concealers that didn't come with a lot of product that I finished up last year. This is a category where I say I don't get super excited about concealer, but I feel like every time I'm in a store, I'm like, oh, like maybe I'll try a new concealer. It's like one of those that like slowly creep into your collection. Like it's not like I ever log onto a website and I'm like, I'm gonna search for a new concealer to buy today. But it's one of those products that creeps into your collection because you're out shopping. Not so much now, but you're out shopping and then like, you're like, oh, I'll try this concealer. So I'm at 10. I feel good with that. My goal for concealer, the concealer category, would be 10 and under. So this is another area where it's hard with concealer to be like, oh, I want to do a 1 out or 1 in, 1 out, because I feel like concealer takes me a long time to go through, and you never know when a brand's going to release a new concealer that I'm really interested in trying. So I don't know that I'm going to give myself any restriction here. I might have, depending on if I decide to do this or not, I need to, but I may have a no buy category specific video coming where I put myself on some sort of restrictions for like 3 more months, for like 3 months, or like the rest of the year. Haven't decided yet. Should I do it? I probably should. Alright guys, for the powder category, I started the year with 9 powders. At the 3-month mark, I had 10 powders in my collection, and now I am at 8. We're starting off actually pretty strong here. I've gone down in 3 of the 4 categories. I shouldn't be so hard on myself. You'll see why I'm hard on myself when we get into the next few categories. But I have used up 2 powders so far this year. This is a category that doesn't make me too nervous. I feel like 8 would be like the perfect number of powders for me. Kind of like somewhere between 2 to 4 pressed powders, and then anywhere from like 4 to 6 loose powders. I really, really enjoyed the Glossier Wowder. I actually have finished that up this year and am going to be purchasing another one of these. And then I recently, you guys wouldn't have seen it yet because I have not done my July haul, but I did pick up the Ilia powder as well. Have I used up more than 3 powders then? I think I have. And maybe decluttered a powder or 2, but nonetheless, we are at 8 powders for the year. For the bronzer category, I started the year with 18 bronzers. At the 3-month mark, I was at 18 bronzers, and I am still at 18 bronzers. I have finished off 2 bronzers thus far this year. I do not anticipate I will finish up any more bronzer this year. I also have brought some bronzer into my collection, and I have decluttered 1 bronzer from my collection. So last year I used 4 bronzers. A couple of those, like, I already had pan in when I started 2019, so that's why I was able to finish those up. I don't think I'll finish any more bronzer this year. I was on a bronzer kick. I recently brought quite a bit of bronzer into my collection, but I'm feeling pretty good where I'm at. If I were to bring any more bronzer into my collection, I think it would be a cream bronzer product. I still am interested in picking up Nude Sticks Bondi Bay, but I'm feeling pretty good about where my bronzer category is at. Bronzer is a category where I go through phases where I'm super, super into bronzer and everyone's coming out with new bronzer and I need to try out the new bronzer, and then I go through a period where I'm like good for bronzer, and I feel like I just got out of, hopefully, the part where I'm really into bronzer. So hopefully I'll slow down on the bronzer and we'll keep it consistent in this category throughout the rest of the year. Okay, you guys, here is where it gets gross. I need another sip. Okay, so for the blush category, I feel like every time I do my updates, I count my face palettes differently. So I have finally, in a Google spreadsheet, tracked everything for my blush, tracked everything for my bronzer, etc. So I know down the road, like, where like a specific possibly face palette fell into. Was it a face palette or was it a blush palette? So my face palette, when we get to that category, has gone down significantly, and the reason being is because anything that has just blush in it, I am now counting in blush, and I believe I decided to count it as each single individual pan of blush. So that helps justify it possibly a little bit, but I was like tallying, I was like keeping track of when I purchased each of my blushes, so I know like what products in my collection are the oldest versus what is the newest. 25 new blushes have come into my life this year. Now, I have gotten quite a bit in BoxyCharm, but if you guys caught my June makeup haul, I hauled 6 blushes, and I've picked up a couple more since then. Yikes. So the blush category, I clearly really love blush, and I'm on like a blush kick right now. I started the year with 39 blushes. At the 3-month mark, I was at 40, and now with the new way that I'm keeping track of things, I am at 51 blushes. I have decluttered some blush, thank goodness, but this is a little bit out of control, but it's tough because I'll look at my blush drawer, everything still fits in my blush drawer. I feel like if things aren't fitting in my drawer anymore, like my one single drawer for each category, that is when I will be like, okay, girlfriend, we really need to get it together here. Everything still fits in my blush drawer, and as I look through my blush, I'm like, oh, there's really nothing I feel comfortable parting with. I also have been bringing more cream blushes into my collection as I've gotten more into cream face products this year. So that is a small, not even justification, but explanation, I guess. Highlight, kind of the same, and a big part of this is because of the new way that I'm tracking my inventory for these categories. But for highlighter, I started the year with 39 blushes. At the 3-month mark, I was at 39, and now I'm at 53 highlighters. Sorry, I think I was saying blush again. I'm just so embarrassed that I've brought 25 blushes into my life. But 53 highlights. Highlighter is a category. I brought a few new highlighters into my collection this year, and I recently actually picked up a couple highlights from Glossier because I was interested in testing a more cream formula for highlighters. But I just haven't been as into, I still highlight my face every day, but I haven't been as excited about highlighter this year, or just maybe people just aren't releasing as many highlights this year. But even though this category is out of control, I still can't necessarily find any highlight throughout my collection I feel comfortable getting rid of. I'm not like as concerned about this just because I haven't been as inclined to buy highlights this year, whereas blush, it's like literally any, you could give me like, you could present me with like a bucket full of dirt and say, oh, this is a brand new blush, and I'd be like, oh, really? Do tell me more. I think I need to buy that. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so for palettes, I started the year with 80 eyeshadow palettes. At the 3-month mark, I was at 69 eyeshadow palettes, and now I'm at 68. I am doing a project type of thing on my channel this year where I'm tracking my usage of my eyeshadow palettes, and if I'm not using my eyeshadow palettes, I am decluttering them or passing them along, just because I want to make sure, even though this is a really, really large eyeshadow palette collection still, I want to make sure I am getting use out of the eyeshadows within my collection, and I want to keep room in my collection to be able to use the eyeshadow palettes that I love. But I also love eyeshadow palettes, love trying new eyeshadow palettes. So this is a category that my goal is just to be 75 palettes or under. I have tried quite a few new palettes this year, some good, some bad, and I have brought quite a few new singles into my collection recently, which we'll get into, but I've been really interested in kind of curating my own palettes through single shadows. So I don't know, eyeshadow palettes, I don't feel like I'll ever be able to be like, nope, I'm going to go on an eyeshadow palette, no buy, I'm going to restrict myself to this many eyeshadow palettes, just because I love, it's like my favorite part of makeup. It's where I get to be the most creative. So I'm going to try and keep it to 75 palettes or less. We'll see. I also want to do a video ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes that I've tried thus far this year. That should be coming kind of soon-ish. We'll see. Speaking of singles, okay, so I have depotted a lot of the eyeshadow palettes that I've decluttered. I've grabbed shades that I want to keep from that palette that maybe I was keeping a palette around for like a shade or two. So this category has gone up by quite a bit. I've also brought in quite a bit of single shadows this year. We started the year, and this is also including my pigments as well as my liquid shadows. We started the year with 58. At the 3-month mark, we were at 71, and now we're up to 145. A lot. I get it, but again, I'm okay with this because I have been depotting, and I've also been wanting to try more indie brands and try singles from indie brands. So I'm not really worried about this category right now, even though it seems like a lot. I mean, some single shadows cost, you know, anywhere from like $4 to $6. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot of money, but I'm comfortable with where we're at for my singles. For shadow primer, this is not an area that makes me nervous at all. I started the year with 3. Midway through the year, I was at 2, and I think it's because I could not find one of my shadow primers, but we're back up to 3. I actually did purchase the Urban Decay shadow primer, so that's probably where that number came from. I'm fine with this. I don't think I need any more. I don't necessarily feel like I need any less. We just are where we are with shadow primer. For eyeliner, I started the year with 27 eyeliners. Midway through the year, 3-month check-in, I was at 30, and right now I am at 30 eyeliners. I feel okay with where I'm at here. I feel like I probably have an excess of like black liquid liner, but I have been trying to practice my wings more and get some use out of this. I have also decluttered quite a few eyeliners throughout the last year and a half. So I'm actually surprised that this is still at 30. I thought it would be less. I do have a decent range of color, but I would be okay with growing this section of my collection by a little bit, as long as I was bringing in unique shades that I don't necessarily have. I have been playing around more with color, and there's times where I'm like, I want to do more than just like a dark brown or a black liner in my waterline, and I don't necessarily have the shade that I would love to pair it with. So I'd be okay with growing my eyeliner collection by a little bit, but it would just have to be shades that are unique to my collection and not just another brown or another black. For face palettes, so this is where my face palettes has gone down by quite a bit because I've categorized things differently. But at the beginning of the year, I had 24 face palettes. At the 3-month mark, I had 21, and now I'm down to 9. So that means I have 9 palettes in my collection that have like more than just blush and highlight, so that means I have 9 palettes in my collection that have more than just one single product in them. So like it has maybe a blush and a highlight, or a brush, bronzer and highlight. It's not just exclusively like 6 blushes or 5 highlighters or whatever it might be. So I do currently have 9 face palettes. I am comfortable with this, and honestly, I would like to have 10 or less, or even maybe like, I'm comfortable with where it's at. So we'll say 10 or less face palettes. Now, granted, I do have other things that probably could be considered face palettes. For example, my ABH highlighter palettes, I've counted in my highlight category now, whereas I could also count that as a face palette. So I don't necessarily want to bring any more face palettes into my collection, especially because I feel like I don't typically reach for face palettes over my single products all that often. I have a couple that I love. We all know I love the Cali Contour Kit, but I don't need any more face palettes. That's basically what I'm alluding to here. For mascara, I have been on a mascara no-buy all year. I feel like you can always get mascara as point perks, gift with purchase. I get a ton of mascara in my BoxyCharm. So I have not purchased any mascara this year. I will preface this by saying I'm also someone who likes to cocktail their mascaras, so I often have 3 to 4 mascaras open at a time, and I'm layering them in some fashion or another. Last year I used 17 mascaras. That's an obscene amount of mascara, and honestly, when we say use, it's not like I used every last mascara to like absolute dried out completion, but I used 17 mascaras for like 3 to 4 months before counting them as an empty. I started the year with 25 mascaras. At the 3-month mark, I was at 21 mascaras, and I am currently at 21 mascaras. Again, I haven't purchased any mascaras, and I've used a few up, but I have gotten some as point perks, or they've come into my life in some fashion or another. But I have not purchased any mascara this year. You go, girl. For brows, I started the year with 6 brow products. I still have 6 brow products. This is a category that has remained consistent. I do have 2 brow pencils, I believe, that I am going to try and use up this year. I typically just put a powder or an eyeshadow in my brows. I just cannot be bothered to do a really precise brow. I mean, I would like to dabble a little bit more. I really want to try the Benefit Precisely My Brow, but I would like to use up a couple of my other pencils before purchasing the Benefit Precisely My Brow. I also have an ABH brow pomade that probably is, I need to probably just get rid of at this point in time, but I just can't get myself to. I keep adding like oil to it or whatever if I want to try and use it, even though I never really try and use it. I have 6 brow products. I'm not really worried about this category. It's not like, this isn't even a category where stuff will creep home with me. I just don't really buy brow products all that often, if at all. Many of these are really old or have come in through BoxyCharm, so not a category I'm worried about. For lip liner, we're going to get into lips. We're on to the lip categories. Okay, gets a little dicey here too, but we'll start with lip liners and lip crayons. I started the year with 31. I was at 33 at the 3-month mark, and now I am down to 26. I have done a pretty large lip declutter since my last update or last makeup inventory, so a couple of these categories have gone down. One category that has not gone down though is my lip gloss category. I started the year with 51. At the 3-month mark I was at 55, and now I'm at 62. I love lip gloss like I love blush, and I feel like I always just convince myself that I have a need for lip gloss, or like it doesn't matter how many lip gloss I have in my collection because I'm always wearing lip gloss. Even though now with the face masks I'm not reapplying my lip gloss that much because it just smears all over my mask. Have you guys seen that meme that's like nobody and then it's like me and it shows a picture of a face mask with like foundation and red lipstick on it? That's me. A lot of gloss has come into my life this year, and I will never get through it all, but I can't help myself. For lip balms, this is another category that like I could have 50 lip balms and I would be like, yep, I don't care. I love lip balm. I use lip balm all the time. I started the year with 9, midway through the year, 3-month mark, I was at 11, and now I'm still at 11. I have used up some balms this year. I've also brought more balms into my life this year, so we're at 11. I feel good with that number. For lipstick, I started the year with 49 lipsticks. Last update, I was at 46, and now we're at 44 lipsticks. Quite a bit for the lipstick category. This is still quite high. I'm obviously never going to go through 44 lipsticks. I'll be lucky to use 1 full-size lipstick this year. I think I'll use 1 though, which I'm really proud of. Yeah, this one's really high, but I have a lot of lipsticks that, I have a lot of my old MAC lipsticks that they hold a special place in my heart. I check them periodically to make sure like they're not growing mold or anything. I also have my Tarte Rainforest of the Sea lipsticks that I love. I just have a lot of lipsticks that I just cannot get myself to part with. So we're at 44 lipsticks, and I don't really even know, I haven't really given myself a goal for the lip categories. I just know that 44 is really high. For liquid lipsticks, this is a category that I have made significant improvements in. We started the year with 79 liquid lipsticks. I used to be so into liquid lipstick, and I'm not anymore. At the 3-month mark, we are at 80 liquid lipsticks, and now, through decluttering quite a few liquid lipsticks, I am at 61, which I'm happier with. I still know I can do some work here, but I am happier. I am trying to work through a couple of my liquid lipsticks, even a couple that aren't in my projects. I've been just finding myself reaching for a couple of my old ColourPop ones, and I'm like, ooh, I should actually try and use this up before it goes bad, because how cool would that be to use up a liquid lipstick? So this is really, really high, especially for someone who never ever wears liquid lipstick, especially liquid lipstick on its own anymore. Like, I'll layer a lip gloss over a liquid lipstick, but liquid lipstick on its own these days is just a no-go for me. So this is still very, very high. Hopefully we can get it down to maybe like 40 or 45 by the end of the year, and I need to stop buying liquid lipsticks for sure. But after that, that is going to be it for today's video. I believe that's every category of my makeup collection. Leave me a comment down below, you guys. What category is your worst? What category is your best? Have you brought 25 of a specific category into your collection this year? I would love to know so I can feel a little bit better, not so alone here on the island of 25 blushes. Love, love, love hearing from you guys. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as you always do. I hope that you are having a great day, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.